This is the way I remember it. The more than 4 decades of legal abortion and the 50 years of moral decay that led to the January 22, 1973 disasters known as Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton. This is the way I remember the early years that prepared me for the raging battle to save the lives of the unborn. It is, of course, an abridged history, but it is filled with my memories of the fight against abortion and the effort to turn our national culture away from the ugly, violent narcissism that makes legalized abortion possible. This is the way I remember the people I worked with and planned with and went to jail with. This is the way I remember the enemy we are still fighting. Our office in Chicago is filled with files upon files from decades of work. Old newspapers, flyers, news bulletins, press releases, court transcripts, and photographs. I used all the tools at my disposal to check, double-check, and recheck my facts, to tell the most accurate story I could. I reviewed more than 6,000 transcripts of my hotlines, daily recorded phone messages, each a few minutes long. I pored over back issues of our Action News Monthly, reread old newspapers and magazines, studied volumes of court documents, interviewed scores of activists and friends, and viewed miles of taped news reports and video footage of our activities. I gave a dozen drafts of my manuscripts to people who were also there to find out what they remembered. But memory is a funny thing. It takes impressions of the stories we find ourselves a part of, like metal, in soft wax. Our memories hold the shape of things that were, but they can't capture the things themselves. While researching my own past for this book, I've often been surprised at what I'd forgotten, or that what happened wasn't quite the way I remembered it. Everything in this book is as accurate as I could make it, with the help and dedicated diligence of my wife Anne and my son Peter. But this is still a memoir. It is my memoir. My recollections, my reflections, my impressions, my own story, in a vast and intricate history. Now I invite you to join me on my journey. Yours for life, Joseph M. Scheidler, National Director, Pro-Life Action League. In the spring of 1987, I was in Northern California to meet with local and national pro-life leaders and to speak at a rally. Early one morning before the meetings began, I visited the newest branch of the Feminist Women's Health Centers, a clinic in Redding. I hoped to talk with the new administrator there, but the clinic was closed, its windows dark, and the door locked. I flipped over one of my Pro-Life Action League business cards and wrote, "Sorry I missed you." I signed my initials, JMS, and wedged it in the door. I met with the leaders and spoke at the rally, but I wasn't able to stop back at the clinic before I left town. But I did see that business card again, 11 years later, in federal court. It was March 1998, and I was on trial in downtown Chicago for violating federal racketeering laws. In the first week of a 7-week trial, that card was displayed for jurors on a screen as big as a billboard, while Dido Hasper, founder of the Feminist Women's Health Center, testified to being scared when she arrived at her Redding clinic and found my card. The plaintiffs alleged that my card constituted a death threat, part of a pattern of conspiracy and extortion against the nation's abortion providers and their clients. Early in my activist career, I regularly visited abortion clinics, asking to speak with the physician or the administrator, hoping to learn why they got into the business and to try to talk them out of it. Over time, I realized that many are not happy. Abortion is a grisly line of work. Some abortion providers responded to an outsider's concern. I tried to persuade them to use their talents to build up society, not add to its many miseries. Strange as it seems, I've seen people quit the business after a compassionate encounter with a pro-lifer, some even right on the spot.